Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Colleen Meyer from Meyerman's, and we are bringing you Fearless in Pink. We have an amazing guest today. Her name is Jayshree Mallaya, and she is going to talk to us about her nonprofit and about the song that she came up with. And so I'm going to let Jayshree go ahead and tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, Colleen. It's absolutely amazing to be on your podcast, Fearless in Pink. I love it. So my name is Jayshree Mallaya, and I'm actually from Durban, South Africa. You know, what I'm actually about is reaching out to people and looking at ways to inspire others. And when I met you on Clubhouse, I just loved your room. It was fabulous, really awesome, because it's so good to connect with people that can initiate change in the community. Okay, so you will notice that with me, it's a lot about it is about serving, being passionate and sharing, because each one of us is on a personal journey. And I feel that in 24 hours, we can have time to reach out and touch someone else's heart. So what we did is we started a nonprofit called Over the Walls Together, and you can find it at overthewallstogether.org. So the reason why we came up with that song, with that name, is because walls represents different difficulties that people face. And our nonprofit is about working together with you to actually overcome certain problems. So we came out for International Women's Day. We created a song which I wrote called Join Hands All Around the World. And one of the very, in my 28 years journey in my business, which I offer intuitive therapy, you often come across female clients that have been through different forms of abuse. And I have not been in an abusive situation, but it still affects me, And last year, I decided to do something with COVID happening, and we could not go to communities because of the lockdowns. I decided to write a song, and I wanted to reach women and men that were online, and that's how Join Hands Around the World came about. The interesting thing is that, since we launched last week, we've noticed that women and men are responding really well to the song, and it's creating an opportunity for people to speak. And we found that the song has created a safe place, and that really excites us, because one of our goals was to actually help women come to terms with what's happening and look at ways that they can empower themselves, because we are already empowered, but we need to manifest this feeling, within ourselves.
Now, who would you say, because I know we talk about, it's for men and women, but who would you say is your primary customer, the person that you're helping directly? Who would you say? Is it more families? Is it more women? Is it more girls? Share a little bit about that with us.
Okay, that's a really good question. So since we've been involved in our community work, we're focused a lot on families, children, and single moms, and also grandparents, because in South Africa, often the older age people sometimes are neglected or abandoned, So for us, family is a priority. We came from a really strong family home. And, we've noticed that sometimes the togetherness can make a difference. It can spur you on. So for us, we deal a lot with children from all schools, all age groups, right up to young adults and the older generation. But our focus is usually a lot more on children and youth and ladies.
Now when you because everybody's doing this now, we're all inside the house, we're we're going, as economies are opening up around the world, we're starting to venture out, but we're still not 100% there. So do you do a lot of your stuff, if you're doing counsel, talking to people and helping them, do you do that online? Do you use Zoom, or what does that look like?
Sorry.
Technology.
Okay. Yeah. So we used to do a lot of work in our communities. Being in South Africa, a lot of the underprivileged communities do not have access to online facilities. So that is the problem for us. So we generally go out to schools, we go out to locations in rural areas where they would need our help. So we provide meals, counseling, clothing, food hampers. It just depends on the situation. We also used to attend schools, but so that created a massive problem for us. Plus, when COVID happened, I happened to be on holiday in Hawaii celebrating my 50th birthday. And then the borders locked down, which I could not get back home. So a lot of our feeding programs and other initiatives had to come to a standstill, So then we looked at doing WhatsApp is really big in my country. So, it seems to be an easier way to get through to people and to be able to reach out. So we did use WhatsApp. We do use Zoom. Okay. And we've noticed that so far it's been a lot to do with WhatsApp.
Now, I know we talked about this on Clubhouse. You have a passion for helping, women and girls with domestic violence about women and girls, and that had the importance of that. And what I loved about your song, Join Hands Around the World, that you had a male singer, throughout a lot of it. And I think that was powerful because we have to, as a society, global society, come together and to fight domestic violence or violence against, any type of violence against women and girls or men. And, but when you have a man part of that, I think that I find that to be impactful because it shows that together, male and female, we can battle this and we can get this to, we can get lean towards getting this domestic violence to stop.
Absolutely. Actually, the co-founder of Over the Walls Together is a good friend of mine. His name is Win Coleman, and he's from Hawaii in the USA. And he's a lyricist and a music publisher. And when we got together, he had this need to do more work in the communities, and we were a mutual friend. And one of the things we noticed when we came together with this foundation was that actually men and women need to take action. Men and women need to be able to step up, and we need to be a lead by example. So when it comes to the work that we do, as much as we may be dealing with women or with children, men is a very big part of what we do, because we need to be able to live in a society that's joined, not a society that is exclusive to one gender. And what happened in this song, when we discussed this song, he gave us a lot of feedback, because he's very passionate about ending domestic violence and educating men. So I think with the song, we found that part of the song was to have the male rapper actually directly speak to the men via the music video. And a lot of men found that to be a little bit unsettling. And some found it to be an eye-opener, because they hear about violence, they hear about domestic abuse, about rape, about trafficking. And, to actually have it like literally in your face and to hear it so directly, it's created a good response, because it's initiating conversations. And when conversations are initiated, solutions arise. And this is part of what we want with our journey.
I think that, there's a stigma attached to domestic violence. People, there's that shame, or that they feel like they're going to be blamed, or they feel like people are going to say it's your fault. And so it stays underground, so to speak. It stays kind of a lot of times in the dark, and I think we need to bring light to this issue so that we can address it, because it's not just, and this is what I found, it's not just one family member or family members, but it becomes a generational thing.
Yes, I so agree with you, because in my private business, I've noticed that, the after effects of domestic violence can live forever. And right now, the more we work together in bringing a stop to what we're doing, or what's happening out there, we're actually safeguarding future families, and we're creating better environments for children that are still to be born into this world. So, people have to start thinking deeper than just having an argument, just getting offended. It's not anymore about you and the person that you're with. It's about people that you bring into your home, people that you're raising. Lots of times parents as adults fail to realize that the children that are with them are going to go on and create their own families. And sometimes you tend to attract the environment that you were brought up in, So for us, it's a very sensitive topic, and that's something we are addressing. And, we are encouraging healthy family bonds and units, and spending, and in the lockdown, we've been encouraging families to spend more quality time together, get to know each other, play games with each other. We grew up with board games when we were little. It's a way of learning, loving, and sharing. It's just really beautiful.
I think so too. And I think that, like you were saying, when people grow up, they tend to lean that way because, that's all they know. Sometimes because they don't know any better, that's how they were raised. I think everybody does that in their houses. They think, oh, what's going on in their house is happening to everybody. But then they become, I think, and I've seen this, that they associate love with violence. And I think that's kind of a very unhealthy place to be, because women and men should be able to say, I'm worth, this is not love. Hitting me or violating me is not love.
I so agree with you again on that point, because a lot of people don't know what love is. It's something we feel every day, but you ask someone, what is love? And they struggle to find the answer, but when we look at it in a family unit, it takes on a bigger meaning than just emotions, because there's responsibility and there's caring that's going through, and there's education, and love in a family unit as it's a component to a larger, it's like a car. You have so many components. You can't just expect to have the steering and then there you go off driving a car. So in the same token, the family needs to work together. And often I find myself telling people, when I'm in a consultation, whether it's or the nonprofit, my business, one of the things that I find myself doing is telling the person, teach your partner how to love. Don't say that he doesn't know how to love and he doesn't do this for me. No, if you're finding that you are with someone that doesn't know how to love, then you need to sit down, speak with him, and show him through your actions how to love. Because what happens is we are brought up to believe that everyone's going to love us. When we meet someone, everyone's going to know how the right thing to do, but sometimes they don't, because where they came from may have been very abusive and very traumatic. They may not have had the right teaching. So that's something we always encourage, because, and I tell the community that when you teach someone how to love your partner, the benefits and the rewards is powerful. Instead of you sitting back and saying, he doesn't love me, he didn't buy me anything for my birthday, or he's forgotten about this, because a lot of people are brought up differently, as you've seen yourself. So lots of times we have to humble ourselves and understand, if we know something, if we know how to love, if we know how to do a surprise party, if we know how to go to the zoo, we need to be able to encourage our partner and lead by example. And I think people have become too attached to a negative response, which is something that we need to look at changing mindsets.
I agree with you. And, it's funny when you said that, because I remember my first husband, and he was a good guy, just, things didn't work out, but he was a good person. And I remember one time for my birthday, he gave me a carburetor for my car. This is going way back now. They don't even know if they have carburetors in cars now. They might, but to me, it's like, that's like, why would you give me, because I needed it. So, but in the way he saw it, that's his love language. You need this because your car can run. And if your car runs, I know you're going to be safe. And so I'm giving you a carburetor for your birthday. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, out to dinner would have been nice, but but stepping back and having to say, but he's saying he loves me because he wants my car to run safe. He doesn't want me to break down somewhere. So I think what you said was spot on with understanding somebody else's view. You know, they talked about love languages, looking at and not always assuming that, you know, they don't love you, but talking to them and having them to understand, tell me about the carburetor, and let them, share that. And once you get an insight from where they're coming from, sometimes it's really not that bad at all. It's
No,
love.
yeah, that is so true. And again, you don't stop with your partner. You take that education to the children in your home. You take that education even to your in-laws, because there's a lot of problems with extended family. And domestic violence is instigated by difficult people or difficult communications. So, since we are talking a lot about domestic violence, I think people need to realize it's not a bargaining tool. To have power over someone in such a negative way doesn't mean that they're going to love you or do what you want them to do. And many times it's a lot to do with what you bring into the relationship, and a lot of women tend to bring in a lot. And I'm not saying men don't bring in a lot. Men also bring in a lot, but sometimes exactly like what you said, the way men express and communicate may sometimes be a bit too practical for women, And in today's world where finances is an issue and everybody wants a certain type of lifestyle, I often am finding myself telling women as well that if it is a practical gift, you need to think that he at least gave you a gift.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. There's a little delay. I think, we're talking about similar things. We're talking about understanding that this person, their love language, and in understanding that on the other side of the coin, but domestic violence is going too far. We're not saying that's okay. We're saying to understand sometimes the love language and not feel like they don't love you and all that other emotional stuff that we drag in is one way to look at things. And then on the flip point, if it does get to where, like you were saying, controlling and this could be, women can be controlling sometimes just as much as men, right? It's not okay. So we're looking at, kind of two things that are not coexisting, because some people don't do the domestic violence part, but understanding that part of it and then not accepting the actual physical or mental or emotional trauma that someone's trying to impose on you.
Yeah. And, I just want to add for the listeners out there that are going through domestic violence, that it is true that just sometimes communicating with a man who gets aggressive may not work. Okay, we need to understand this. But there is a form of communicating with him that would work, and that is when a woman stops feeling afraid. An empowered woman makes a difference in a relationship, and women need to realize that, because men will pick up their hand and want to hit you because you are showing a vulnerability, and I often tell women, if it has happened and at that moment you could not prevent it, make sure it doesn't happen again. You have to stand your ground. You have to protect yourself, even if it means speaking to someone else, telling him, listen, if you raise your hand at me, this is the end. It's not challenging the man. It's standing up for what you believe in. And a lot of women at that moment, they're overcome with this kind of weakness when they are not weak. And sometimes it's because at that moment they're caught off guard. They love the man, or sometimes the man makes them believe that you are bad. You've done something wrong. So women need to do a checkpoint at that point, and they need to stay true to themselves. If they have done something wrong, stand up and say, I've done something wrong, but it doesn't mean you have to abuse me.
Now, here in the United States, I think, when a woman, and you can tell me if it's different. I know, people are people, but some, tell me if you feel the culture is the same. Here, when a woman decides, okay, I'm going to domestic violent relationship or mentally or, emotionally damaging relationship, and they decide, okay, I'm going to leave. And that time that they leave is the most dangerous time for them, as far as, the man or the woman, will be fair, that once that person leaves the relationship, that first, when they leave, it becomes dangerous for a lot of people. Not all of them, we're not going to generalize that, but a lot, that can be a lot where they, if they're going to do something dumb and dangerous, that's the point where they usually do it. Is it like that in South Africa too?
So it actually is, and sometimes worse, because a lot of women in in relationships or in marriages are not always financially empowered. So sometimes they remain in that position because there's nowhere really to go to, especially if they have children, sometimes, or they have families that cannot accommodate another person moving back home. So that is one factor, that a lot of women stay because of the fact. Then there's the embarrassment. It's still a community that still needs to understand that this is not an embarrassment, But I have noticed that we do have a lot of safe houses. We as an organization also used to visit safe houses, inspire women, speak to them, empower them. And also, we used to take over little pampering treatments as well, just to tell them that it's okay to feel like a woman, But coming back to your question, I think that in South Africa, domestic violence is seen as something that you're not supposed to speak about. It's a very secretive thing. And many women that, cannot just suffer in silence. They live through it, and they try to give their children better opportunities through education. But I think that we've been trying to tell people that it's fine to give your children education, but you also need to be able to empower them not to continue that cycle of abuse. But we have also noticed a lot of women that are actually beginning to step out. They are leaving that home, and they are telling the man, listen, if you want to make this work, then we need to communicate. So we've noticed there is a growing trend now towards resolve, because you must remember, domestic violence is very unique form of abuse against women, because here there's a love bond. In other situations, rape, sex trafficking, child abuse, and amongst other really, hideous crimes, domestic violence, there's usually a love bond, a connection, and that's what makes it even more difficult for the women, because they feel that the man is entitled to, at that moment, what he's doing, because, it's a form of love. But like you correctly said earlier, love and violence is not, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I think that, it's just that taking it out from this shameful, embarrassed, we're not going to talk about it, because when things are hidden, then it's easy to hide in the darkness.
Yes.
Whether it's domestic violence, like you said, trafficking, child abuse, whatever it is, it's easy to hide in that darkness. But when it's in the light, it's not as easy to hide in the light. And bringing it forward and saying, it's okay to say, I'm a victim and I need help. And your organization, does a lot of amazing things to help women and families, and to find resources to help them deal with those type of situations. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can get a chance to play the song for the listeners. I don't know if that's possible.
I was actually going to put it on the back of this video or the podcast for the audio. I'm going to attach it to the very end so that people can really get a feel for. It's an amazing song, and I think it's hip. It's a hip hop song.
Thank you.
And I think it's hip. It has a good beat. It has a great message. And I think we're going to have the listeners be able to hear that, because the message is impactful. And your organization is doing amazing things. Now, let's say somebody wanted to support you in your nonprofit. how would they go about doing that?
Okay, so right now we do have on our website in the next few days, though that those opportunities will be coming up for people that want to get involved. So there are different ways. One of the ways is that if you purchase the song, if you enjoy the song and you purchase the song, all profits from the song is actually going back towards our community projects. Okay.
Okay.
And we also,
And that's the Join Hands Around the World song.
that's the song, yeah.
Okay.
And we also have the option for donations as well. Okay. And the other way to get involved is to actually lend us your support. You know, if you are good at certain skills and you think that it would add value to what we're doing, we are definitely open to that as well. Because, you know, here it's not just about money, but it's about potential. And, you know, sometimes we feel that, like, for instance, you know, we had a woman that left home with 3 kids, and all she needed was just an opportunity to you know, to work somewhere, and we arranged a job for her. And the difference is that that little job, actually now she's in her own business. But, you know, the good thing about it is sometimes, you know, you may just need a listening ear. Sometimes you may need some cash. Sometimes you may need to be able to provide something like we do, you know, good secondhand clothing drives, and we go out and we give this to vulnerable communities. So, you know, it just depends on what you feel you can assist us with, you know. But again, a lot of what we are looking at is if we can spread the message of the song, and if we can start conversations and break the generational curse, you know, that women and girls, you know, we need to start protecting the future of our women. And the women that are alive today and that are breathing, we need to help them stand up and join hands with people around them. You know, people can change, and we have to believe in that.
You know, I agree with that. Are you on social media? Do you have any page that people can follow you and reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. So our website is overthewallstogether.org. And on social media, we're at Over the Walls Together. We're also on Facebook, we're at Over the Walls Together. And I'm also on my personal name, Jayshree Mallaya. You can reach out to me there. And on Instagram, I'm under at Mystic Sisters Jayshree. Okay. And Jayshree spelled Jayshre. Just an interesting insight about my name. It was given to me by my mom's dad, and Jayshree is a Hindu name because my ancestors are from India, and it actually means a woman of victory blessed by God, you know. And I personally feel that saying, that meaning of my name represents every human being in our world, you know. And I think people need to carry that energy through, you know, the blessings that we have, whether it's little, whether it's a lot, we need to be able to, you know, we need to let it just flow out of us. You know, I think more people are beginning to realize that they want to live in kindness. They want to live in love. And I'm noticing more, and that is the reason why when we came up with the title, Join Hands Around the World, you know, we didn't expect that we're going to have such a global positive response for the song. And I always tell people, you do the best you can. And, you know, the universe responds, the community responds. So it's you know, if anyone is ever sitting there and thinking, I cannot do this, I'm not good enough, I'm not a songwriter, you know, but I had passion and I had a belief in something. And I think this is what people need to realize, that no matter how downtrodden we feel, because we all have bad days, you know, we need to be able to take our passion and live from our heart and soul, and also to do things a bit intelligently as well.
Yeah, and so Join the Hands Around the World song, if they wanted to buy that, what would it be on Spotify? Is it on
Well, you can actually go right now and you could purchase the song. It's on sale for 99 cents, that's US cents. And it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, and it's also on Amazon Music.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
and
99
if
cents.
anyone's on the YouTube channel, you know, we'd love your feedback. You can always pop a comment down in the box and tell us, you know, how you feel about the song and you know, how you feel about our mission. You know, we would really love to hear from you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Well, Jayshree, thank you so much for being on Fearless and Pink, and you are doing an amazing job at helping your community. And we know we as citizens of the world appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and the same back to you. You know, I think you're a true inspiration. I really enjoyed chatting with you the other day. And
That was
again,
nice.
it was a good experience. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.